Today, during the speech in Ukrainian parliament, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine Pavlo Klimkin said that Russian aggression towards Ukraine could not be ended in the nearest future. Moreover, Russia is fully responsible for humanitarian crisis in Donbass, so Russian criminals could not be pardoned. In common report of Minister concerned meeting of Norman Force in Paris and results of negotiations, he stressed on 3 points which were discussed there: security, local elections in Donbass and humanitarian situation here. The key agreement concerned local elections in Donbass. They should happen under condition of appropriate security situation, and this process will be controlled by Bureau for Democracy and Human Rights. It will be allowed to Donbass territory. It will watch and monitor the situation, and on basis of OSCE criteria, it will define how to work further. The second point is that any criteria of future elections will be discussed only on basis of Ukrainian law and according to OSCE criteria. Now, it is well known that Russia is fully responsible for humanitarian crisis in Donbass. The last cases in Donbass are really unacceptable. Then all UN organizations are thrown up from Lugansk region or then just made of registration. Their cases lead situation nowhere. The same situation is with humanitarian aid and access of Red Cross organization to our captives who are in Donbass. There are 3 main points of our agreement: security, political sphere and humanitarian sphere are very important because in comparison with Minsk we are in different reality, and I would like to thank our friends and partners for permanent pressure, understanding and help, and for very clear message that violation of Minsk agreements from the side of Russian Federation has its price right now as sanctions and political pressure. Russia is continuing to enhance its military presence in Syria. According to information of Russian officials, this decision was made by Vladimir Putin in answer to a request of Syrian President al-Assad. In particular, this night, ship strike group of Russian Navy launched cruise missiles against ISIS infrastructural facilities in Syria from the assigned district of the Caspian Sea. The firing was conducted by high-precision ship missile system caliber NK, the cruise missiles of which engaged all the assigned targets successfully and with high accuracy. At the same time, Russian media do not even try to hide aggressive actions of Russian military forces toward opposition in Syria. These shots are part of analysis of media source Russia Today, which was conducted by Ukrainian agency Inform Napalm. Taking into account map of civil war in Syria, city Abu al-Duhur is at the outskirts of occupied by opposition, what proves again that Russian aviation hits to ISIS but opposition which stands against Bashar al-Assad authority. According to information of Ukrainian military intelligence, which can be found at the official website, such actions of Russian Federation are provided in order to distract attention of Russian citizens and international community from Russian aggression toward Ukraine, present Russia as powerful geopolitical center which can exist as an alternative to US and NATO member states, renew partner relationships between US and EU member states, enhanced military presence on Middle East and Mediterranean. General Headquarters of Ukrainian Armed Forces state that Ukraine is watching situation in Syria and correct the plan of Armed Forces trainings. President of Ukraine Petro Poroshenko had a phone conversation with Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund Christine Lagarde. Mr. Poroshenko underlined that cancellation of pseudo-elections on occupied territories of Donbass will contribute to stabilization of economical situation. They had coordinated positions towards execution of conditions for next tranche. Also, Ukrainian economical issues will be discussed during the G20 meeting in Peru. Ukrainian and Russian finance ministers had arranged their meeting during which they will discuss restructuration of Ukrainian debt. EU is planning to deport 400,000 of migrants. It was reported by British The Times, relying on documents which were in its service. Probably thousands of migrants will not go refugee status this year. That could be a serious challenge for EU leaders. Also, Brussels is going to block all trade and visa agreements with such countries as Niger and Eritrea in order to make them accept economic migrants back. In addition, Ukrainian position toward EU refugee crisis stays quite optimistic. Ukrainian Minister for Foreign Affairs Pavlo Klimkin underlined that if Ukraine is ready to become EU member, it should be ready to accept refugees from Middle East to show its solidarity with other EU members. He talked about this in his interview to Fifth Channel.
Due to the agreement on armament withdrawal, the ceasefire regime might overgrow to a complete truce, and the chance to return control under the occupied territories of Donbass might become real. That was claimed by the Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko during his appearance at the Military Institute of Kyiv National Shevchenko University. The president noted that the truce was achieved thanks to the Ukrainian army, which became one of the strongest and patriotic of the continent. Nevertheless, Poroshenko stressed that the victory and real peace is still far. Therefore, Ukrainian military should remain on the edge. My order to all troops: not to relax. It is still far for the victory. I know that daily stand at watch, sometimes psychologically even much more difficult than to fight. Me personally was on guard. But I am convinced that continued silence can exert more than endless barrage. To stand still at relatively safe place is sometimes harder than head for trouble and go into the assault. But the guarantee of truce and peace can only be reliability of Ukrainian defense, high discipline, and high moral of the Ukrainian army. Understand by yourself and explain it to all others. We are fighting not only for Donbass and Lugansk region, we protect the whole country. The decision upon the creation of Ukrainian-German Chamber of Commerce and Industry is to be adopted today. The Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk announced that during the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers. The corresponding agreement between Ukrainian and German governments is planned to be signed at the Investment Forum in Germany, October 23. The preparation for our trip to the Investment Forum in Germany, which will be held October 23 in the presence of German Chancellor, along with the German and Ukrainian business, today the government decides on the signing of an agreement between the government of Ukraine and the government of Germany on the establishment of German-Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This is the body which should give another stimulus to the development of our bilateral economic relations. Founded Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a body that will allow German and Ukrainian businesses to invest, to create jobs, and move through the modernization of the Ukrainian economy.